So working in pairs is subtly different to working in rounds. Obviously you're in pairs rather than in one big group, and the purpose of that is for people to get to do some deeper thinking. When you're in the group, you all get to hear each other, and there can be amazing richness that comes out in there, and the way that people spark off each other or inspire each other. But the depth of thinking is better enabled, it seems, by being in pairs, where you get a dedicated amount of time for you to really just work through your thinking. So sometimes I look at the pairs work as more like assisted thinking than it is a conversation. Now you'll see why in the video on how to run pairs work, exactly why that is, but it's just important to have that context that part of the function of it, or part of the purpose of it, is to allow that deeper thinking, and it is about having a process of thinking and expression rather than it is about talking lots backwards and forwards. Because just like with the rounds, you know, as compared with a normal meeting where you might get some people talking a lot and other people not talking very much, when you speak in pairs, even with the best intentions, when someone gets enthusiastic, they can get on their soapbox and speak a lot, or just be plying you with lots of questions because they're fascinated with what you're saying. But by plying you with questions, they can lead you away subtly from what you want to say, what's really on your mind, whether you realise it or not. Sometimes we get led astray and we're okay with that, but actually if we are left to our own devices or left just to speak and be with our own thoughts, we might end up somewhere entirely else than where we do end up. So again, just as with working in rounds, one of the functions of working in pairs is to practice equality. So in each pair, each person gets an equal amount of time speaking and listening. Most often we work with 3 minutes, because that seems to be an amount of time that people can speak for. It can be a stretch, but they can speak for it for 3 minutes, but also encourages not just the thoughts that are on the surface, but digging a little deeper and going to the next thought and the next thought and the next thought a little bit. So you get some progress of thoughts in those 3 minutes, some real deepening into what we're reflecting on, what we're considering. So what that would look like is that one person would get 3 minutes speaking with the other person just listening, and then you switch and the other person gets 3 minutes speaking with the other person just listening. So we most often work with 3 minutes. Sometimes if we're doing something briefer, it might be 1 minute or 2 minutes, you know, or even longer. We sometimes work with longer when we're really doing some deep thinking, but sort of 1 or 3 minutes tend to be the most typical amounts of time. So that gives you the basic context of why we use pairs, and a little bit about how they work, and then the next video will be really going into depth about how to run pairs work.